can't silence the people.
I don't know how many times we have to deal with this particular subject on this channel, but I'll talk about it for as long as I have to, as often as I have to, until we can get some kind of resolution within local and state police departments. We always ask, and maybe sometimes it's tongue in cheek, maybe sometimes it's humorous, but it's really serious. Without cops, who would throw us in jail for a DUI after you blow triple zeros? Even mainstream media is talking about it. Listen to this.
New at 6, HNN investigates the number of people on Oahu arrested for DUI, even though they are not drunk nor on drugs.
Our chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano researched hundreds of arrests over the last 2 years and found a concerning trend.
No one is questioning the need for DUI enforcement, but legal experts say jailing sober drivers violates their rights and doesn't take the drunk ones off the road.
And this is the argument I hear quite often from anti-auditor channels. They're out there going, you're always dogging on these cops, but they're just trying to do their job. They set up these DUI checkpoints and they're trying to get these drunk drivers off the road. Brian, do you want drunk drivers on the road jeopardizing the lives of everybody on the highway? No, I don't. The cops aren't the only ones who can get a drunk driver off the highway. And if these guys are involved in a stop where they're jailing somebody who's not drunk, who's not on drugs, then guess what that means? While their time is being tied up over here committing criminal activity in uniform, the people who are really drunk on the highways are driving right by, jeopardizing more lives. See, if I was convinced that the goal was to get drunk drivers off the highway, I would applaud that. But it doesn't look like that's what the goal is when you see in state after state, cop after cop abusing their privilege, abusing their power, and putting sober people in jail anyway.
January 24th, just after 10 p.m. on Moanalua Freeway near the stadium. An 18-year-old driving home is pulled over.
Hey, boss. So, pulled you over because you're swerving, huh?
Because it was slippery. I guessed it and it was slippery.
You were swerving because it was slippery?
You can see in the body camera videos that the road is wet, but the officer actually suspects he's been drinking.
Okay, I just look a little red in water, y'all.
The high school senior refuses on-scene sobriety tests and is arrested.
And refusing a field sobriety test is the advice of lawyers. It's the advice of ex-cops. And it's the advice of current cops. Why? Because they'll tell you freely that a field sobriety test is designed to make the participant in that test fail. It's something that you never want to do. You always want to request, hey, if you think I'm drunk and the only way that I can prove that I'm not drunk is to do the breathalyzer test, then bring on the breathalyzer test. I want to prove to you right now that I'm not drunk.
Put your hands behind your back, okay?
He is taken to the Pro City substation where he ends up taking the breath test. The 18-year-old blew 0.00. No alcohol was detected by the breathalyzer. Charges were not filed, but the arrest was on record because he is an adult.
Why would you keep that arrest on record? You know what that's going to do to this person's life. The insurance company is going to grab a hold of it. The insurance premiums are going to go up. And just the general intrusion on this person's life, the humiliation of being cuffed, placed in the cruiser, having your car towed, having to pay the impound fee. This costs people a lot of time and money.
When I was a policeman, I never had anybody blow triple zeros.
John Burge is a former HPD officer, now a defense attorney specializing in traffic cases. He was surprised at how many drivers are arrested but not intoxicated. HNN Investigates asked HPD for a list of all the drunk driving arrests from 2022 and 2023 in which the driver was not charged. There were 69 people with breath or blood test results of 0. No alcohol detected, but they had been taken in cuffs to the station. Nearly 300 total were released no charge because their test results were under the .08 legal limit.
If this isn't criminal activity, then what is? What would happen? And if you question whether it is criminal activity, what would happen to you if you did the exact same thing to somebody, threw them in your basement because you believed, hey, this is for public safety. I'm trying to get this person off the road, but they blew 000. I don't care. I threw them in my basement anyway. It's criminal activity. Taking 100% of an individual's rights away for no freaking reason. Not guilty, still arrested, still caged.
H&N Investigates got data from the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office which shows of the nearly 1,300 total cases referred by HPD, 949 were not charged in 2022. In 2023, of the 1,283 cases charged by HPD, 1,038 were declined by the prosecutor's office. That means 80% of the cases forwarded from HPD are rejected.
That is outrageous. What is the reason for this? Why aren't people asking questions about what the reason actually is? And why aren't heads rolling? Why aren't people being fired? Why aren't cops being jailed for doing this?
In a statement, the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney said the office looks at the facts and circumstances and files charges in all cases when it is confident it can prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So why are so...
Well, what if you can prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt for the officer who just committed a crime against a member of the public? See, they have the public's trust, and they violate that trust when they do these kind of things. You know, when you have the public's trust, you're letting your guard down. You're just going, okay, I back the blue. I'm a supporter of the thin blue line. I'm just going to go ahead and comply. The officer's probably right. Why do people give the boys in blue the benefit of the doubt?
Many sober drivers being pulled over.
There was always pressure to make the DUIs, especially if you're in these specialized units. There is an unwritten quota where they say there's no quota.
Otherwise, what are their officers doing out there all night? Just sleeping on the side of the road? So there is pressure on them.
November 7th.
Everybody knows there's a quota. Everybody knows there's a quota, whether it's written on some kind of inter-office bulletin or whether it's unspoken. Everybody knows there's a quota. Everybody knows there's accolades, there's plaques on the wall, there's pats on the back, there's performance reviews. Oh, good job. You pulled over 123 people and put 110 of them in jail for DUI. Never mind the fact that most of them 80% blew 000 and we had to drop the charges. Never mind that. You're doing a great job, officer.
Kamehameha Highway at Ka'uka Boulevard, a DUI checkpoint.
Yeah, I say your first name. Amen.
36-year-old Amen Fepuliai is pulled over.
I do detect the odor of alcohol.
Fepuliai agreed to do the field sobriety test, including the breath test.
Don't do it.
Keep blowing until you hear a click.
Fepuliai also blew 0.00. There was no alcohol in his system. But Fepuliai was arrested anyway.
Imagine being the human being who's wearing the costume, who administered the field sobriety test and watched the guy blow 000 and still putting the cuffs on him, put him in the back of the car and caging him and fingerprinting him anyway. What kind of person do you have to be to do that? Hey, all you anti-auditors, are you guys for this? Is there any level of criticism that you can launch at police departments for doing this at least?
Remember, the officer used the smell of alcohol as probable cause to get Fepuliai out of the car. But when he blew 000, the officer said he suspected drug use instead.
Now their evidence is conflicting. And then the officer's kind of stuck in a position to say, well, is this drugs? And the drugs are much harder to detect. And the officers really need a higher level of training.
I felt embarrassed.
The officers don't need a higher level of training. The officers need, at the very least, to be fired but they need to be prosecuted and they need to go to jail for the crimes they've committed against the public, in my opinion.
Felt profiled. I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't drink. So there is a problem.
I don't know why you would smell alcohol and not have any alcohol in your system. I mean, if an officer has done that, that officer should be retrained or scrutinized. And when you're getting somebody...
How do you retrain deception out of somebody? How do you retrain somebody who has a corrupt character to have a moral, upright character with a strong moral compass? You can't. This isn't about training. This is about, oh, the guy that we hired is extremely dishonest. You can't trust him to do anything. Number one, put him on the Brady list. Number two, take away his certification so that he can't become a cop somewhere else. And number three, let's throw the book at this guy. As at least a message to other people who might want to get into the law enforcement community or already are in the law enforcement community. Send a message to them that, hey, if this is what you're going to do as you violate the public trust, you're going to jail, no questions asked.
that isn't drunk, then the drunk guy is left on the road. So that's a huge problem too.
HPD declined a request for an on-camera interview, but provided a written statement that did not use the term quota. It said arrest statistics are not considered part of an officer's annual performance evaluation.
Our quotas are not considered part of an officer's annual performance evaluation. They love to use euphemisms.
However, supervisors may have goals and standards for the unit to help guide the officers under their command. After our request for data and comment for this story earlier this year, HPD said the Traffic Division did then conduct additional training in procedures and operation. Legal experts have...
So they got off scot-free. No officers, it appears, were fired. There was no written reprimand that went in the records. Obviously, absolutely no officers went to jail for this when they should have.
This advice, if you're pulled over but sober.
If you're not impaired, blow in the machine, because that is your salvation. If you blow 000, we know that you haven't drank.
The 18-year-old was able to have the arrest expunged by the state attorney general's office, but it did take several weeks, and it cost his parents $35.
Yeah, and why does it take so much? And how about the impound fee? We didn't even talk about the impound fee because, you know, if they arrested that 18-year-old, they took his truck. The way they took his truck is they carted it away and put it in the impound lot, and there was an impound fee to get it out. It wasn't just $35. Let's look at the whole thing. And why does it take so long to get something expunged from your records when it went on there in a criminal manner in the first place? How long is it going to be before he can turn things around as far as his insurance premiums going up? Unbelievable amount of criminality in the name of to protect and serve.
All right, guys, so watch this.
Can't silence the people.